Hey there, Jojo Bear here. Today, I'm going to be making a cardboard box, a retail box for Shin Pokemon, but these instructions will work for pretty much any international Game Boy box. I'm not really used to doing something like this, so I may edit this later just to edit out all my weirdness. But yeah, we'll just see how this goes. So, first let's talk materials. What is this box made out of? This box is made out of chipboard. It is 22 points thick. That is 22 mils or 22 thousandths of an inch. This is incredibly common. In fact, this is the same type of chipboard as you will find in a name brand cereal box, like Cheerios. So I have seen people do things where they just make it out of a Cheerios box. I will not be, because this template here is a little too big, but I'll get to that in a moment. So, 22 point chipboard, or some later releases like Heart Gold. This box is a little bit thinner. I measured this with my calipers at 17.5 points. So that's 17.5 thousandths of an inch. Whatever material you can get your hands on that's stiff enough, I mean, yeah, it'll work, but I prefer something like this, or preferably this, because it's stiffer, it's a little more robust. Now, like I said before, Game Boy boxes are a little tricky because this is 4.5 by 4.5 inches. Which means my template that I have here, this is 12 inches by 8 inches. Now, I've bought family-sized Cheerio boxes. Like, I had some I was going to throw out, and I just grabbed and I did measurements. And I couldn't quite fit this on one side of a Cheerio box. I could do both sides, but the folds wouldn't line up quite correctly. So what I did was I just went on Amazon and I bought these tabloid-sized sheets of 22-point chipboard. So these are, tabloid is 11 by 17? Can't remember. Point is, this is tabloid-sized paper. Or tabloid-sized chipboard. And I bought these in tabloid size specifically so that I have extra trimmings for doing other things, and it's also just a nice big sheet to work with. As for my template itself, like I said, it's 12 inches by 8 inches. I printed this on legal-sized paper. And this isn't normal paper. This is actually a full sheet shipping label in legal size. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to glue stuff a lot. I don't want to have to wait for things to dry a bunch. So I'm going to glue like one thing, and then one or two things, then be done with it. I prefer that stuff just stick on. But this is a full-size shipping label in legal size. There's a little seam in the back here that'll just peel off. And what shipping labels did I use here? I will put links in the description of all this stuff. Let's see here. This is Label Outfitters. So That's what I bought. I've gotten most of this stuff off Amazon. Let's see. So, how did I print this? I just took my label sheets. I went to Kinko's. I guess it's called FedEx Office now. But I just went to their printers, transferred my file that I wanted to print, and just printed it right onto this sheet. Their printers take letter-sized, legal-sized, and tabloid-sized. So, yeah, and it made a pretty nice print. So I'm happy with it. It was cheap. I think it cost me 76 cents to print this. Or no, it was $1.49. They charge you a little more if you do legal or tabloid sized. But anyway, let's get to work. All right, so got my chipboard. What I'm gonna do here, just gonna find the seam. Come on, there we go. There's your ESMR for the day. Come on. Here's a little more ASMR for you. Now, I'm gonna stick it. See, this is why I like these big, oversized chipboard sheets, is because I don't have to line anything up. I can just stick it right on there. I'm gonna line this kind of up a little bit to a corner. Okay, messing this up just a tad. Fortunately, there's some extra on the end of this. There, I'll just put it like that. There we go. I'm gonna take a big ruler here. Gently flatten this out, like so. I'm not really applying pressure. I'm just making sure it's stuck down nice and flat with no bubbles. My hands are a little greasy, so I don't want to touch this directly. It'll smear the toner. All right. Now that's on the chipboard. I'm going to take some of these self-adhesive laminating sheets that you see here, because you really want to I mean, you could leave it like this if you wanted to be lazy about it, but you really want to kind of seal this in. And I was using a can of Mod Podge for a while with kind of my test boxes. You know, this is like a test box here. Experiment with it and stuff. You know, Mod Podge is just a acrylic sealer, matte, and it was fine, but you know, I don't like waiting for it to dry. I don't like having to put on several layers. So I saw another YouTuber use these acrylic sheets. So I'm gonna give it a shot. These are 9x12, which means they should be just enough to fit over the whole thing. I don't really need to seal up this section right here because this little rectangle is going to be glued. So if it doesn't fully quite fit over that, it's fine. You know, whatever. So, let's see. It's my first time using these, so I'm gonna see how this goes. Oh, there's 2 sheets in there. Okay. I'm also hoping that it will give a little bit more protection for the edges for when I fold. Okay, so it looks like the little top part just peels right off, like that. So I'm just gonna lay this down, line it up. I'm gonna smooth this down nice and good. Then I should be able, yeah, I should be able to just smooth it out onto the sheet with my 18-inch ruler here. It's going pretty good. Like I said, I'm basically doing this because I don't want to get bubbles underneath. All right, now to smooth this out. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Gotta use the right side. I feel this needs to be pressed in more. So, kind of take this. Yeah, that's better. Get it all worked down. Maybe I should have gotten a rolling pin for this. I wonder if my plastic triangle will work good. Nah. Stick with the wooden edge. There. I think that looks pretty good. In the future, I'll probably, I think I will get like a rolling pin or just something where I can, apply a lot of flat weight across the whole thing at once without tearing this lamination. But I feel this is like nice and well protected. And this laminate, it covered almost this entire little glue spot right here, so that's good. Yeah, that's on there. Nice and good. All right, let me check the camera angle real quick. Yeah, we're still good. Okay. Now, start cutting this out. Just use an X-Acto blade. Make sure that your blade is fresh, okay? Because if you try to do this with a dull knife, you're gonna have a really bad time because you're going through a laminate, a label sheet, and the chipboard all at once. So you really need a sharp one. Also, get yourself a beefy metal triangle like this, because if you try using this edge, your blade will slice into this. Don't use this. Or if you try to use something made of wood or plastic, the blade's just gonna cut into it. Use this. That way your blade isn't gonna cut this and mess up your tool. So I like to do the tops and bottoms of this first. I have put a little bleed into this template at this top here and at this bottom here. You might not be able to see my little marks, that I made on camera, but they're just little white dots. I have them there. And that shows me where I need to cut. And if I don't get it super exact, well then I have this little leeway space up here so that you just don't see like white, like a white line. So I'm gonna turn this around and I'm going to cut. I'm gonna line this up. I'm gonna cut very, very carefully. And feel like I need something to weigh this down, like a big book or something. I'll be right back. All right, I just have an 8-pound free weight right here. So I'm gonna line this up. Just gonna put that free weight right down on it to hold it in place. Yep, and immediately it moved as soon as I started cutting. Great. Now, doing this, just go very slow. It is going to take several strokes with the blade to get all the way through this. Okay, I can feel I'm all the way through it now. If you're wondering, my cutting mat is just a normal, resealable, self-healing cutting mat. I bought it at Hobby Lobby. All right. Yeah, I'm a touch too high on this top part right there, but that's what the bleed is for. Now do the bottom side. I'm actually going to try doing this freehand. Yeah, that actually works a little better freehand if I just go very slow. That's actually getting difficult now. I'm gonna break this out. There we go. All right, how am I doing on that? All the way through? Mostly. There we go. All right, let me clean that up. Doing it like this, the box isn't going to have that super pristine machine precision to it. It'll definitely look like handcrafted, but you know, that's kind of a nice effect. So now, through kind of the hardest part, now I can start cutting out the rest of this. This is a little tougher to cut through than my prototypes. It's probably this laminate sheet. It's my first time using it. I'm actually kind of 50-50 on if I want to use this or the Mod Podge. Although it is nice having this laminate because as I'm moving this around and touching it and everything, it's protecting the color. So, pros and cons. This tip is bending. That breaks, I'm just going to change it out. I like to have my strokes be like down or outward because I'm right-handed. And I like to cut towards the white of the label paper so that if I go like, ugh, and I make a big long cut, it just cuts into the white. Not quite through there. Not quite through this part. There we go. Okay, that's starting to pop out. So now I'm going to do this. Yep, that tip broke. I'll switch this out. Don't try to cut using broken or bent tips. I'll put that in my sharps disposal. So if you don't know, when you throw out things like this, kind of the best practice is to have an old bottle of Tide or like an old bottle of Dawn soap, just some thick plastic bottle, and you just pop it in, put the top back on, toss it when it gets full. So I have a sharps container in my study that I'll use that for. I've also ordered some DeWalt carbide utility blades, which I'm actually wondering if they would work a little bit better at this, because they're very, very sharp, can cut through a lot of things. You know, they'd just be something a little heavier duty than a Kraft knife. This one's a little tricky. It's just a teeny little divot. There we go. These curves I am not going to do with a craft knife. I will do these with some sharp scissors. What I will do with the craft knife is this, see these lines here and here? I will, those are for like the flaps to stick in when you close it all up. So I just need to make an incision here and outwards. That'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be good enough. Most things in life, good enough is just fine. Okay. Getting near the end. Right. This chipboard can be quite a challenge to get through at times with the extra 2 layers. That's good. And let me make the incision here. Hand's getting a little shaky. Okay, here's a point of advice. Don't do this after you've had a whole bunch of caffeine or you've chugged a Monster or something. If you're a 30-year-old boomer and you chug like the white Monsters, don't drink one of those before doing this because my hand's starting to get shaky. Okay. I didn't include a bleed on the rest of this template in the outlines, just because since you're hand cutting this, it's less important. If I'm just cutting around, eyeballing it, it's not really needed. Like what I'm doing here is if I need a cut and I really don't want a white line to show up, I'll just cut in just a little bit. Man, these tips are really bending. I'm gonna have to change brands to something else. This is X-Acto brand, and I'm not sure I like these. These are X-Acto Z11s. Maybe the DeWalt utility blades work better. But what was I saying? Yeah, so if there's a little bit of white like on the edge of the flap or whatever, it's not gonna matter that much, especially like on this side. Well, this is gonna be folded in and glued over, so whatever. But for this, I really wanted some bleed space because this is artwork. And it's the most prominent part of the whole box, so. Okay, let's pop out. Yeah, that's bending. And the more it bends, the more it's going to break. I don't like that. All right, I think I'm done here. Let's pop this out. Is it coming? There we go. I'm going to save this because I'm going to use this portion for an internal pocket. If you look at Game Boy Color era boxes, I cannot remember for the life of me if red, blue, and yellow had a tray insert or not. Maybe red and blue had a tray insert and then they got rid of the tray inserts by the time of yellow. Anyway, if you look in here, you'll see that, you know, there is a little cardboard pocket that the game sits in. That was done because it was cheaper. both from a material standpoint and a labor standpoint. So that's what I'm going to do on this thing, is make a little game pocket, which you can see on my test box here, right? Yeah, so the game will just kind of sit right in there, and then this acts as a little stopper. And it's also really easy to make. You know, this is a, I think this template is 10 centimeters wide by, I want to say 8 centimeters tall. Yeah, 8 centimeters tall, 10 centimeters wide. And the idea is that you just fold it up and glue it on. But before I do that, I'm going to score this, because we need to make folds. So, actually, no. I'm going to round off these edges first. Let me get some scissors. Let me just check the camera position, that everything's still good. Yeah, we're still good. Great. So I'm just gonna cut these little white bits off. If you wanted to be like really, you know, really shortcut about it, you could just cut diagonally instead of curved, which I think would work fine. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna do curved. And for some reason, I just find scissors so much easier to do curves with. Make sure your scissors are very, very sharp. Don't go using your dull scissors that you keep in the kitchen drawer. Use like good, sharp fabric scissors or crafting scissors. Because man, if you use dull cutting tools, you're gonna have a bad time. Round that off just a little more. There we go. Yeah, looks fine. Okay. I'm gonna put my sharp tools out of the way so that I don't injure myself. Now, scoring. You have to score these in order to do the folds. So you need to score here, 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 here. So that's 4. Then you have to score here, 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 and here. Finally, score here and here. I forgot something. I forgot to make an incision there. There we go. Just gonna feel those from the back side, make sure they went all the way through. Okay, yeah. But yes, you're gonna score these flaps, this top, this bottom, this side, there, and here. So I've seen people that do stuff like, well, I'm going to use like a quick little, whoosh, like a very light little scrape with my blade. Don't do that. What you really should be doing with something thick like this is, I have a scoring tool like this, or you could use the blunt side of a butter knife, because what you're really trying to do is you are trying to compress the material as you go, and you do it on the front side, not on the back. Why do you do that? So, when you fold these, the label paper that the color is printed on, the fibers of that label paper are going to bend when you fold it. And they need surface area for that bend, or else the fibers will start to break and crack. So imagine it's like this, right? And it starts to fold them, and they will stretch out and bend and crack. So by compressing them down with a score, you are effectively pre-stretching those fibers to hopefully minimize the amount of cracking that you're going to have. Like if you look at a very, like here's on my trash experiment one, you can see right here, right? That's what happens if you don't score properly. And you'll see this, stuff like this is almost unavoidable. You will see this on very old paper boxes. Like obviously not on this, because maybe a teeny bit on this, but you know, I've kept this in a drawer for decades. But like, let me get a good example here. Okay, here's a good example. So you can see this is a Pro Action Replay 3 for Super Nintendo. It's from Germany. If you look at the corners here, you'll see that cracking. It just happens with time, use. Now, but hopefully, since you're making a brand new box, you don't want to have it happen just right off the bat. Like with this, right? So, scoring. Where is my triangle? I'm going to use the big one because this scoring tool is kind of fat, so I'm going to use my big thick triangle. It really helped. This is moving too much. Try this one. The nice thing about scoring is that it doesn't have to be as exact as you're cutting. Just got to be on the line. And when I'm doing this, I'm really putting some pressure into it. Like really going. I'm going like 1, 2, 3. And actually, that did pretty good. I like that. Okay, now for this flap. One, 2, 3, and we'll do 4 for good measure. You don't need to be like, you don't need to be like a bodybuilder, put muscle into it, but just really firm. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, because otherwise you'll get that laminate to kind of lift up, and you don't want that. This laminate is actually working pretty good, because on this test one with the Mod Podge, I would do the scoring really hard and it would start to like gouge into the color and crack it before even folding it. So I might stick with this laminate. I'm really liking the metal triangle on this laminate because it's not sliding around. Because that plastic triangle is like an ice rink. We were learning together. Okay. Let's see. Let me do this one. Gotta go way down there. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4 flaps. Side flap, top fold, bottom fold, top flap, bottom flap, side flap. Actually, I'm going to start from the middle and work out on this one. 2. 3. I need to clean up that top just a little bit. If you have little fuzzies at the top and bottom, what you can do is take just some very fine-grained sandpaper and just go over it very, very gently and just on the edge. You know, don't sand the front. You know. All right. Now I need to do this one right here. That's 1, 2, 3. I stated at the beginning of the video, this is for, you know, a box for Shin Pokemon. And that you can, but I really need to re-emphasize that you could do this for any game that you wanted. If you had your own ROM hack, if you wanted to make a reproduction box of your official cartridges, you know, something to pretty up your collection, or even just something to give away as gifts to friends. I'll probably make a couple of these and give them away to, you know, just friends at work. Just, you know, little trinkets, little gifts. So just something nice. I just think it's a nice little arts and crafts project to do. Nice way to kill like an hour or so of time. So what I'm going to do here is this flap needs to fold over. You're going to do the fold at where the incisions were made. So I can line up my triangle with those black lines where I made the incisions. 1, 2, 3. Three, 2, 3. 2, 3. Get a nice groove in there. Okay. 3 more. I recently bought this triangle. I think I got it at Michael's. Really like it. It came in like a pack of 2. Make that one more. Yeah. So if you look at a real box, if I open this up, you can see how you have this little bump on the inside. That's because it was pressed in on this side and then folded over. So the excess fibers on the back, on the inside, got bunched up into that, which is what we're going to do here. And even on this test piece, you can almost see where the fibers bunch up in the back. It doesn't look clean though because this is done by hand, not by machine. Something to be said for handcrafted stuff though. I mean, not so much quality, but it has character. Like how food cooked by someone you love, it has like, you can taste the love in it. And we'll do one more. Okay, last score. scoring these really good because this is robust. It's just as robust as a real retail box would be. Okay. Now I'm going to start folding. I'm not going to fold it up into a box fully, but I'm going to start bending things out. I'm going to use my triangle to help myself bend. When I bend, I'm not going to just do it like go all the way over flat. No. I'm just going to start lifting. And right to about there, I'm going to leave it. Because if you try to go boom flat all the way to the other side, that's how you end up with cracking right at the go on this edge, which I don't want right now. Once it's all together, folded up and glued, like it'll hold. And it will kind of adjust to its own shape over time. But I'm not just gonna crank it right now. Don't do that. Let me get my long ruler to help me bend. Yeah, this laminate is really helping out the color. I'm getting a much neater folds too. And it's really helping keep the fibers from cracking when the fold is done. And it's just kind of keeping everything. So it may look, I mean, it's laminate, right? It's not gonna look like a real box. You know, it's not gonna look like it's not gonna feel the same or look quite exactly the same. But from just producing it by hand, really liking this laminate. It's just giving a nicer result. It's interesting because I just saw, a random YouTuber do it, and I was like, huh, I wonder how that works. I think I'll try it. And very pleased with the results. Going maybe 10 degrees past 90 degrees on that, or maybe to like 45 degrees. So just like that. Yeah. It's looking good. It's looking good. I will do these little flaps last because they're just ridiculously easy to fold in. It's these long folds that get tricky, especially this one right here. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Getting there. We're getting there. In order to do these folds slow, I'm starting to rush a little bit and I need to stop. All right, last one. I'm gonna get, this one's always kind of the hardest, this little gluey flap. So I'm just gonna try to just do it with my fingernail, just a little bit, just to get it up there. Then, there we go. Now it's going. Okay. And finally, these 4 flaps, just a little boom, 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 boom. Looking good so far. I don't see any cracking of the edges, which is exactly what I hope for. So, now to make the pocket. Let's get our scrap sheet here. Like I said, 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters. So I'm going to start drawing out the template. I'm going to make it from one of the corners. And the way this template goes is 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 6 centimeters, 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter. And then that goes up 7. This is 2.5 centimeters, 1.5 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 1.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters. Yeah, 2.5, 1.5, 2, 1.5, 2.5. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to draw on here. One centimeter, 1 centimeter. Six centimeters. 1, 1. No, that's wrong. There we go. We're going to go up 7 centimeters and 8 centimeters. Okay. Doing this at the edge of the chipboard is a lot easier because I can press my ruler up against the edge and then line up my triangle and get really straight lines. Gonna make some erasures. So I don't get confused. Yeah. When I erase these, I'm going to erase these because I'm going to draw new lines at that part. Okay, so I need to go in two point through 1.2, 2.1, 2, 3, 5, 2.5, then 0.5, and there's 1.5, and there's 2 inches, and there's 1, 2, 3.4.5. And then 2.5 at the end. Great. Okay, now to cut this out. And I can just do this freehand. It's going to be on the inside of the box. Nobody's really going to see it. It's going to look fine. There we go. All right. Now, cut ourselves out a little pocket template. So, where's the incisions going to be made? You look at here, we're gonna make a cut from this little 2 centimeter rectangle here, out and out. So. Now I need to score this. And for scoring this, I'm going to use my triangle, and I will use the back side of this, and I will do it very lightly because I just need this to bend. It doesn't have to bend in a way that looks good, it just has to bend straight. So, back side. One little score. One little score. This tip is bent, so I'm going to toss this too. Little score. One little score. Notice how it does not go fully through the cardboard. Just a teeny little mark to help it fold. I'm going to do the same for these lines, not up here, just here and here, and here and here, not here. Remember, I'm not cutting through this. I'm just scoring it. Okay. So now, bend inwards, bend outwards, bend outwards, bend inwards, like this. Same thing. Bend inwards, bend outwards, bend outwards, bend inwards, like this. And this can be bended flat. Because I'm gonna have to glue this down and I don't want it moving. So I am actually bending this flat, unlike the exterior box. And I don't need to be super exact, I'm just doing this with my fingers. So that way, when you glue it in, it'll glue in like such. It'll look like that. Remember, this should face the bottom of the box because the cartridge is going in the top. So let's see, I have a empty cart here. You can see how this just pops right in. So mark the top side on this. Also remember that when you fold this flap, this is going to fold into here. So don't glue it. Don't glue it like that, because then it won't close. You want to glue it to the back side of this. See here, this is the side with the glue. It's going to go, boom, behind there. Remember that this is the bottom. So, you know what? I'm actually going to mark this with bottom, so I remember. And this little pocket is going to go kind of right up here in the corner. Where does it go on this crystal box? If I open up this crystal box, okay, so yeah, it goes in this corner right here. So we're gonna take this, line it up, and be like, okay, let's make a couple marks here. I want to glue like right here, and like right there. And then for this side, I'm going to do like there. It's right there. I keep saying glue, but the fact of the matter is, I'm not going to be using regular glue. I'm going to be using this stuff. This is quick hold contact adhesive. It is solvent based. You could probably use a water-based one, but I feel the solvent-based ones cure quicker and hold stronger. The downside is make sure that you're not in a claustrophobic room because this stuff smells. So I'm going to take a Q-tip. Here's how you work this stuff, okay? Because you don't use this like normal glue. I need a scrap piece. There we go. Set that out of the way. I got some glue in this cap. Some adhesive in this cap I'm gonna use. Okay. The way this works, well, that's not very much at all. The way this works is you just kind of get it on the surface that you want to coat. Come on, come out of there. You don't need to goop it on. You just need a coating. But at the same time, don't be stingy with it. The way this stuff works is you coat both sides that you want to bond, and you let it sit for like 2 minutes. You don't want it to be all wet and goopy when you touch them together. You want to let it get tacky. That's how contact cement works. Once it's tacky on both sides, then you press it together, and that will hold. That stuff holds. So there's that. Now I'm going to do it for this. I'm just gluing the parts that are going to be in contact, just smearing it on the parts that will be in contact. Like I said, it only takes about 2 minutes to start getting tacky. It's pretty quick. Oh man, this smells. It smells like acetone, but hey, solvent-based. If the smell of solvent really bothers you, don't be afraid to use a water-based. It may take a little longer, but you know, it'll be fine. There. Now, I'm just going to set this over on a scrap piece. Now, that's feeling tacky. And this is, yeah, that's almost there. It's almost there. So. Okay. I'm going to grab a thing, and I'll be right back. All right. This feels nice and tacky. So we're just gonna set this on here. And I'm doing this very lightly. You'll see why in a second. And I'm lining this up straight. Okay, now I'm just barely applying pressure. Get it all lined. Now that I'm satisfied, now I'm going to apply firm pressure. I'm going to make sure I have it on the right side. Yes, I do. It's not upside down. Okay, apply firm pressure. Because contact cement, you need to make contact. Very firm contact. This is too long. I'm going to get this one. There we go. Press, press, press. And press, press, press. Because the cement gets into the fibers of the chipboard, and then it bonds to itself. So press, press, press. And press nice and hard. There we go. That is on there solid. The only way this is coming off is if you rip it off, and you will take the chipboard with you. You will just rip a layer of chipboard right off. This is on there sturdy, and you don't have to sit and wait for it to dry overnight. Although this does take about 5 to 6 hours to fully cure. So while it's curing, go put it in like the garage or something, or put it somewhere, or in a closet, because it's gonna smell a little bit because the acetone. Yeah, now that I really think about it, use something water-based so that it doesn't smell. Because yeah, this will smell for about 5 to 6 hours, and then all the solvent will be dissolved. But after it's fully cured, it doesn't smell like anything. It just smells like cardboard. Like this here. Yeah, this smells like nothing. All right, last thing is to put this together. There is one spot that needs to be glued in order for this to be assembled. And that is, you have to put contact cement on this little rectangular flap here, and about halfway on this flap here. So about right there. I can kind of mark that. So contact cement in about this rectangle right here, and on there. And I'm just eyeballing this. The thing about contact cement is that once this cures up, this little excess here, it's not sticky at all. It's not going to ruin anything. You're not going to see it. It cures dry. It cures clear. It's not going to bleed through. It's not going to bleed through at all. So don't worry about excess. So Though I don't want to get any of this on the flaps because I don't want to accidentally bond the flaps to anything. All right, that's one side. Let's see, I'm gonna lay that on a scrap piece outside of the camera view. Make sure you do this in a well-lit area because I'm starting to lose daylight and it's getting a little hard to see in this room. Oh man, that does not smell good. All right. I'm gonna let that sit for 2 minutes. Be right back. Readjusting. All right, let me check on this. Yeah, that feels nice and tacky. Same on this side. So, you can see on this box how this flap here folds over and attaches. So we are going to fold it up. Scrap that out of the way. There we go. This needs to bend over a little more. Okay. There we go. The tricky part is lining it up vertically, because it wants to spring back into place, but you want to have it lined up along this vertical edge, and you also want to have it flush with the back of the box. So just kind of do the best you can and get the initial line up. Uh-oh, this is not sticking. I think I might have to add more. Let me get my ruler in here. Try to apply some force. Yeah. No. Let me try this again. Let's put some more on there. I have a sneaking suspicion that the contact cement isn't going to bond to this laminate. We'll see if that's true, or if I just didn't put enough on. Or maybe I waited too long to put the contacts, to press it together. That could be it too. Okay, that feels tacky. It's getting there. I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. Okay, that's working a little better. Yeah. Yeah, I waited too long the first time. Okay, so I want to press, and then I need to press it from the inside. So I'm going to take my long ruler, stick it through, and just work it down. I didn't fully line it up the best right there, but it's fine. I can always score it off with the razor. Really kind of get my finger in there and press down. I'm just going to try to kind of just cut that excess off just to neaten it up. Much better. That is not holding. So, there's a problem. I'm gonna need to get a different glue. So, I think in the future, what I'm going to have to do is, when I put on this laminate sheet, leave this flap unlaminated. So that's just paper product. I'm wondering if I can actually remove the laminate from this side. Might be able to. Yeah, there we go. So what I've done here is I've just made a little score, or I've just made a teeny, very thin cut, just enough to peel off a slice of that laminate. Just enough. Because that laminate's just messing everything up. Okay. So, let's try this one more time. Yeah, now it's getting soaked into the fibers. That's good. So yes, for the future, if you're watching this video now, hope you didn't follow along and watch it all the way through first. Whew, yeah, right, this is a long video. But don't put laminate on this little flap. I learned something today, you guys. It's funny because I didn't have the same issue when I used the Mod Podge spray. But, I'm not a chemical engineer. Just let me kind of redo this a little more. Right. So now I'm just waiting for it to get tacky. You know, with how much I've been handling this box, I've been looking at the edges, looking for cracking and stuff. I haven't seen any. I'm very pleased because on my previous attempts where I used Mod Podge instead of the laminate, I'd get cracking really bad the more I manhandled it. Yeah, that feels nice and tacky. I'm gonna give it one more minute. All right, I think that's long enough. Third time's a charm. Okay, now we got something. We're in business. Work that down nice and good. Oh yeah, that's good. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good hold. So yeah, if you're gonna use the contact cement, don't laminate what you're gonna put contact cement on. That is a thing I learned today. So. I'm just gonna work this because we are almost done. I'm gonna work it with this long ruler and I'm just pressing down, working back and forth, making sure there's nice solid contact being made throughout that entire bond area. Look at that, not bad. So, it's just an empty cartridge. So, or you just have a loose cartridge with a little baggie. Just pops right in there. And let's fold it up. Okay, this will be snug. It'll be a bit tight, but it'll go in. And you'll see your little flaps will fit right into those little incisions that were made to hold it closed. And you can see that cartridge is in there good. It's not going to come out. And let's fold up the bottom. That is snug. I would trim these a little more next time. But in it goes. You're probably going to use these for decorative display anyway. And there we go. Shin Pokemon retail box. Coming to a store nowhere near you in no time in the future. Unless you make it yourself. Anyway, thanks for following this long video. I appreciate you staying with me for this long. Have a great day. Bye-bye.